Happy Monday, guys, or Tuesday, depending on which day you're watching this video. So we are going to take a test this week. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a practice test. So I'm going to upload what I want you to submit to Classroom. So I'm going to give you the copy like this, but I want you to show your work on a piece of paper, or you can print off the test and show your work on there like we would in class. So you have two options whenever we take the test, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. And we're also going to work through the practice problems. If you have any questions, I'm going to set up a little Zoom session tomorrow and Tuesday, so Monday and Tuesday. And if you want to log into those and ask any question on the practice test, you can. I'll put the times in there as well. So the first one, it says graph of g of x equals ax squared opens downward and is wider than the graph of f of x equals x squared, which of the following could be the value of a? Well, we know that if it's downward, that means negative. So that automatically cancels out C and D. And if we know it's wider, that means the A is less than 1. Well, which one has an A that is less than 1? Well, the only possible answer then is B. So like I would want to see that. If you can, show me as much work. If you feel confident in that answer, multiple choice, I would allow you to answer it just like that. This one says, what is the vertex of the graph of the function? I'm going to give you this function, and then I want you to tell me the vertex. Well, do not forget, if it's in vertex form, I'm going to take this number right here and this number. Remember, this is your h, this is your k. The h we use the opposite sign of. So my vertex is a positive 4, and my y is a negative 1. So I like writing my vertex like this if it's in vertex form. And that's what I'd want to see. Next one, number 3, says which of the following functions has a graph with a vertex that is a translation 3 units horizontally to the left of the vertex of f of x equals x plus 1 squared minus 4. So if I'm going to move it 3 to the left, that's going to be inside parentheses, but I'm really going to be adding 3. So I'm going to take that plus 1 and I'm going to add 3 to it. So that's going to be a plus 4. Nothing else is going to change. Remember, if it's horizontal, it's going to be inside. So x minus 1 would be right. X plus 1 would be left. If it's vertical, it's on the outside. So that would be like this, x minus 1 plus 2. So that would be up 2. X minus 1 minus 2 would be down 2. Don't forget, horizontal is lying to you. So that's just a nice review of the translations that we've reviewed so far. Next one, it says identify the vertex of the function. They give you another equation like we've seen up above. You should be able to determine that it's 1, negative 4. Again, the h and the k are what you're looking at, but you're going to use the negative h and you're going to use the k they give you. Number 5, it says the graph of h is a translation 4 units left, 7 units down of the graph of f of x equals x squared. Write the function h in vertex form. So on this one, what I would want you to do is you're going to just do the transformation. So I'm going to take 4 units left. That's going to be plus 4. I'm going to square it. And then 7 units down means I'm going to write minus 7. Is that in vertex form? The answer is yes. So that means you've done it right. Axis of symmetry is number 6. So that's x equals negative b over 2a. Don't forget your a, in this case, is negative 1. Your b is negative 6. Your c is 8. So I'm going to do negative 6 over 2 times negative 1. That's going to be a positive 6 over negative 2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 3. Next one, it says, does the data suggest a linear, quadratic, or exponential model? Remember, if the x is constant, we're going to take the y's and we're going to subtract them. So I'm going to take negative 36 minus a negative 6. So this is my first difference. See if it works. I'm going to end up getting negative 30. And then I'm going to take negative 6 minus 16, get negative 22. And I'm going to take 16 minus 30 and get negative 14. So that's the first difference. All right, there is no pattern, they're not constant. So now we need to go to the second difference. So now I'm going to take those three numbers and subtract them. So I'm going to take negative 30 minus a negative 22. That turns into a plus, so I get negative 8. And I'm going to take negative 22 minus a negative 14. That turns into a plus, so I get negative 8. So the second differences are the ones that work. So that's going to be a quadratic function. If the second differences didn't work, then you would go to constant ratios to see if it's exponential or not. So on this one, the numbers look pretty big, so even if I subtract them, it's kind of hard to tell. But you can always do it. 5 minus 25, that would be negative 20. 25 minus 125, that would be negative 100. You're kind of starting to see the pattern. It's really big numbers. So that's my first differences. Second differences, I would do negative 20 minus negative 100. We get a positive 80, and that would do negative 100 minus a negative 600. You get positive 500. So there's still not a constant difference. So now I need to go to ratios. If I do 25 divided by 5, you get 5. If I do 125 divided by 25, I also get 5. And lastly, if I do 625 divided by 125, I get 5. So it's constant ratio, so that means it's an exponential function. Next one, the vertex and two other points are what I'm looking for here. So I want you to graph this. What I would do first is I would do negative b over 2a. So in this case, my a is 2, my b is 12, my c is 16. So negative 12 over 2 times 2, I end up getting negative 12 over negative 4, which ends up being a positive 3. So now I can find my vertex by plugging that 3 into the equation. So I'm going to take 2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 plus 16. So 2 times 9 would be 18 plus 36 plus 16. Sorry, this should be a positive 2, so that's a positive 4, so that's a negative 3. So I should be plugging in a negative 3. So this should be minus 36. Went back and caught my error. So that should have been a negative 3. Sorry about that. I plugged in a negative 2 instead of a positive 2. So that's going to keep 18 the same. It's going to change it to a negative 36 and then plus 16. So that ends up being 34 minus 36, which is negative 2. So my vertex is negative 3, negative 2. So I would graph that. Don't forget your axis symmetry is also here. Now there's two different ways to find other points. You can plug in another x value. You can make a t-chart. So I know negative 3 is the middle. That means I can use negative 4 or negative 2. Let's say if I plug in negative 2 to the equation. So 2 times negative 2 squared plus 12 times negative 2 plus 16. In this case, you end up getting 0. If that's a 0, remember the nice thing about having your axis symmetry is you know that this is also going to be a 0. So I can plot two other points, negative 4, 0, negative 2, 0. And you can go ahead and plot it and then graph it. Also, do not forget, I can maybe plot 0, 16. That's my y-intercept. Sometimes that works as well. Just depends on the problem. So there's a couple different ways to go about it. You can do the t-chart, plug it in, or you can do y-intercept. You can also factor. I've done that before as well. This one, Same thing. Vertex is pretty easy because it's in vertex form, so it's going to be -4, -3. Now you've got to find two other points to plot. So I'm going to plug in another value in my t-chart, to be honest with you. I just think that's easiest. So I'm going to plug in -3 because -4 is the vertex. That means it's the middle. So I can plug in -3. So I would do -3 plus 4, square it, and then subtract 3 from it. So it's going to be a +1, square it, subtract 3. 1 minus 3 would be a -2. So -3, -2. Plot that point. Nice thing is, if we have a parabola, we can plot it on the other side as well. So that's two other points. And you would make your parabola. And that's the review for the test. So if you guys have any questions over any of those problems, please let me know. And then you guys are going to take the test on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to submit a paper copy of what I want to see, what I want it to look like. So if you do not submit it like that, I'm going to ask you to resubmit it. So please take a look at that. And that will be your homework for today. So there's really nothing graded. I just want you to review and make sure you understand the concepts. Again, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me.